Hey, everybody, welcome to the first ever 13 Rings podcast. We are a podcast covering the NFC East. I'm Lucas. I am joined by my co hosts, Mallory, Earl, and Maurice. Guys, we are all fans of teams in this division, and I'm so excited to start doing this podcast with you guys.
Likewise.
Same here.
Let's get it.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. Mallory, take us away.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how we've all become fans of the teams that we support here. So I'll start with the Giants. So I've been a Giant fan for as long as I can remember. It was funny because my brother, he was born about 2 weeks before the Giants-Ravens Super Bowl. So my parents had a Super Bowl party, and we put my brother in a little Giant helmet. Unfortunately, we got destroyed that Super Bowl, but it was still fun. So from that day, I've been a huge Giant fan. I think I was like 5 years old. I remember asking my dad how everything worked, who all the players were, and I was just so interested from that point on. So it's been a long time. Been through a lot of, misery, some great times, some bad times, but that goes across for all fan bases. So that's really how I started. Lucas, what about you?
Well, first off, at least you guys stole 2 Super Bowls from Tom Brady, so you got that on your shoulders.
Yep, that's
Salute.
Yeah. For me, my uncle was a diehard Redskins fan at the time. He's passed away now, but he was a big Redskins fan. I remember when I was like, I think it was like 4 or 5, maybe 6. He got me like teddy bear that had like the Redskins like full like away uniform with the red helmet and the red jersey and all that stuff. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. So I've always been a Commanders fan since, and that pretty much been through a lot of heartache with only like 1 or 2 bright spots. RG3, and so yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, RG3 was he was great. I actually loved watching him when he played for the Commanders. Maurice, what about you with the Eagles?
I think it goes back to when I was a little kid and my uncle took me to an Eagles preseason game. He's a Steelers fan, and Eagles played the Steelers in the preseason, and was kind of hooked since then. Even though the Eagles were not that good in the late '90s, I was still hooked into football. Still being young, just getting into sports. Um, the camaraderie and the passion that Philadelphia sports fans have is kind of unmatched, if I could say that. So once I got into football, I was hooked from there on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those Philly fans, they're definitely passionate. My uncle's a
Sure.
humongous Eagles fan, and he's very passionate about it. And also, my really good friend, he was a huge fan once Donovan McNabb came onto the team. He followed him from college, and then after that, he was hooked. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yep.
How about you, Earl, with the Cowboys?
I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan since I could form words in my mouth. My uncle, he passed away last year. He was a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, and growing up, I would always watch the games with him. Even when I was born in '91, a year later, Dallas won their third Super Bowl. But over time, I could kind of remember, like, as a kid, like, just seeing just the highlights from the Super Bowl and just seeing how much Dallas was, it meant a lot to me. Um, my, I've endured the journey of just the highs and the lows with the Dallas Cowboys, but my dedication and loyalty to the team, it's unmatched. I know that there's a lot of Cowboy fans out in this world. Some are true, some kind of bandwagon. But for me, Dallas Cowboys is I represent the blue and silver, strong, represent the star, and just how passionate I am with the team is definitely an honor, and I definitely want to carry the legacy on that my uncle left for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, Earl. We all got some deep ties to our team, so it's really cool that everyone, kind of has a deep story back from the past when we were kids to kind of lead us here. That's really awesome. I'm sorry about the loss of your uncle.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So now what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about the offseason, primarily free agency, any free agent or trade moves that any of our teams made. So we're going to focus first here on free agency. You guys, we're going to go through the list of all of our teams. What was the best and worst free agency move? Please feel free to chime in if you agree or disagree with the person's take. I'll go first. I think our best free agency move. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm gonna say probably getting. Oh gosh, what's his name? It's the guy from the offensive lineman from Kansas City. Andrew Wiley. Yeah, I think that was probably our best offseason free agent move was to get him or re-signing Dayron Payne. Either one. Probably
Both
Dayron
good
Payne.
moves.
I think Deron Payne was the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our worst move. That's a little bit trickier here. I'm gonna say probably releasing Chase Roulier. I know that he's been injured recently, but he's still a really good guy when he plays. So I didn't love that move, but I understand it.
No, I'm with you, Lucas. I think you kind of hit it spot on there.
Yeah. I agree with Payne being the best signing you had. For me, for the Eagles didn't really have a lot of free agency signings. For us, it was more about re-signing who we can. And for me, I think it was James Bradbury.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You're welcome, Maurice.
Yeah, he had a great year. I don't know how you guys let
He
him go,
did.
but thank you.
He did.
Yeah, he had a great season last year, alongside Darius Slay, who had a weird offseason himself. Like they wanted to trade him, then they wanted to release him, but they ended up renegotiating his contract. It
Well,
was
that
weird.
was crazy. I thought he was on his way to Baltimore, and then Howie basically like gave him what he was looking for, and he was like, "Never mind, I'm going to stay in Philly."
Yeah, our general
That was
manager Howie
my like
Roseman is
thought about
great.
it all.
He's great at working the cap
Yeah, for sure.
and getting guys to restructure their contracts. But Bradbury, I think, was our best free agency signing. I guess you would call it that. He did hit the market. Um, the worst free agency move, I guess, would be letting go of C.J. Garner Johnson, our safety. He had a great year last year. There was some reportedly issues in the locker room and all that, but he had a great season on the field, and it's going to be tough to replace him.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think losing Miles Sanders was pretty big for you guys too.
See,
I
I don't know, because they don't really prioritize the running back position. They never have really. And I think Howie and Sirianni has a lot of faith in Gainwell. And we're gonna talk about this coming up, but they brought in Swift and Rashad Penny as well. So, and Jalen Hurts is a runner, so I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say also, I do agree with you, Maurice. I think letting go of CJ Gardner Johnson was rough. He's a great player. And it's hard to replace him. But when it comes to the running backs, with what Lucas said against with Miles Sanders letting go, I personally my team's destroyed by Boston Scott every year. So to
Huh.
me, the Eagles, their running game has always been good, but I'll go into that later once we talk about the Giants' defensive line.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think losing Gardner Johnson, that was a big blow to the Eagles because it pretty much he gave that like intensity for the secondary. Now they're gonna have to try to figure out who can fill that void. Miles Sanders, I think with him going, I think I'm okay with it. It's more of the Eagles have a rotational side at running back in which anybody could step up and fill that role, in which Boston Scott and then having DeAndre Swift and the other running backs that they have, they can use them in different ways. They can use them in gadgets and other things, and then as well as Jalen Hurts as a runner. So I think the Miles Sanders being moved in free agency, I'm okay with it.
So, Earl, what do you think your team's best and worst free agent moves was?
Our best free agent move um actually I think it's just dealing with their two trades, their earlier trades, trading for Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. I feel that in their need, they were looking for a need in those positions, especially at receiver. I really like Brandon Cooks as a receiver because he can take the top off the defense, but his speed is unmatched. And I don't think Dallas have had that in a very long time from what I could remember. I think the fastest guy we had during the time was back during Joey Galloway and Terry Glenn. Also, Rocket Ishmael as well. And Stephon Gilmore, he can still play. He may not be like he was a few years ago, but he gives that leadership and that mentorship to Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland and the rest of the secondary. I really like it. My my worst, my least favorite through free agency was kind of resigning Leighton Vander Esch. I feel like our running back room with the young guys we have, think they definitely deserve a shot. But I can somewhat understand why they re-signed Vander Esch because of his middle linebacker skills as well as being a Mike. But I think Damone Clark is learning from him. Then we got Devin Harper that's coming off injury. Like we got a lot of rotational guys that could take that next spot at middle linebacker, especially with Micah playing most of his downs at DN.
Yeah, Earl, I'll totally agree with
Yeah,
both of your sides. Sorry,
I've
Marie.
heard, that's okay. I've heard Micah Parsons playing more down linebacker or end at least next season. Is that true?
They're going to move him around a lot. I know during the offseason he wanted to get bigger because it felt like he was getting banged up during last season. And I think him learning just to be able to hang on a little bit more pounds on him, gain some more muscle is going to help him in that spot. But I think they're going to move him around a lot, especially with the draft that they had this past draft.
Okay. I think Dalton Schultz is going to be a pivotal loss too at the tight end position.
Oh, with Dalton Schultz?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Dalton Schultz, like he had incredible numbers under a short time span, but I think with where they're trying to go, they were trying to get more athletic at tight end. I think Dalton Schultz was more of a system tight end, in which was under Kellen Moore's system, and both him and Kellen Moore are out of there. So I think now they're going with more bigger athletic tight ends.
Yeah, I didn't even think of Schultz. That's a good one, Maurice. I was actually going to say Zeke. I mean, I get that Tony Pollard pretty much outplayed him last year, but Zeke is still a really good running back, and I get that the money was the reason why they let him go. But I mean, Earl, me and you've had this conversation over the phone thousands of times. His drop off wasn't his skill; it was the fact that the offensive coordinator never used him properly or used him enough, really. So I feel like that's the bigger loss because now you don't have a proven two-headed monster at running back. Now that young guy might turn out to be great, but like for now, I'm a little concerned. Like Pollard can't be the featured back, not for every down like Zeke could. So we'll see what happens there. What about you, Mal? What do you think? What do you think were the Giants' best and worst free agent moves?
Yeah, so the best one for me probably had to be signing linebacker Bobby Okereke. Our linebackers, we finished, I think it was the fourth lowest graded group in the NFL. So we were really lacking there. We really needed something to stop the run. And I think we also helped that with signing the defensive lineman, Sean Robinson. But I do think that the best move we made was signing Bobby Okereke. I was very impressed with him when we played against him when we played the Colts. He's known to contribute as a run stopper and a coverage linebacker, and that's exactly what we need. So I think that's probably our best. And the worst free agency move that we had was letting safety Julian Love walk. That was really rough, especially because he was our team captain last year. He stepped in for Xavier McKinney when McKinney went out with that ATV accident during the bye week. And he made some great plays. One that I personally witnessed against the Ravens when he picked off Lamar Jackson in that fourth quarter was just like a turning point for us. So we'll definitely miss him. And I think that was definitely a mistake, especially since he only signed with the Seahawks for $6 million. I think we could have made that work. And now our safety room's a little bare. So I'm hoping that the rookies can step up with that.
So Mal, I'm gonna say this. I'm surprised you didn't talk about the fact that Saquon's long-term deal hasn't been worked out yet. He's still franchise tag. I honestly thought that would have been your worst move. Is the fact that you haven't locked him up yet.
I mean, I don't know if I consider that a bad move because just looking at the way the running back market is right now and what Saquon's asking for, I don't necessarily think we're going to come to a long-term deal this year. I really don't. So that's why I'm just like, I'm taking it for what it is. I'm hoping for the best. I think he will still play on the tag, but that's really where my mindset was with that.
I think
that's
Go
kind of like what I was saying with the saying with Miles Sanders too. Like the league itself doesn't really value running backs as much as I think they should. But this is a passing league now, and Saquon has a lot of mileage and injury history as well. So him getting a long-term contract with the Giants, that's looking kind of tough right now. I don't know.
Yeah, especially with the amount of time we have. I think we're approaching I think July 17th is the last day for him to get that long-term contract. And it seems like my front office and Saquon's camp over there are just both kind of at, their hard line. So I don't know if we'll come to that. And especially with the fact that we know now that Daniel Jones can, run, and Saquon's is probably the best offensive weapon that we have. I want him back more than anything. But I do understand that business is business. So I can't think too much into it. So I'm just hoping for the best on Saquon at this point.
Yeah, I think Saquon. I think if he plays under the tag, this is gonna be his prove it year.
Yeah.
I think this past season, I think was one of his healthiest seasons he's played.
Yep.
And I also think running backs, like in the market now, those that have played in the league, I think teams are going towards younger running backs because they can be replaced. The wear and tear on certain running backs, that definitely plays a toll. But I do believe that Saquon was the best weapon the Giants had on offense. So I would definitely recommend him coming back to play to show that he is that dude. And Lucas, when you were saying about Zeke, I think my front office is trying to wait and see how preseason goes. And then if they need to bring Zeke back, they'll pull the trigger for it. They just got to see what they have.
I agree with that, Earl. I think that's exactly what's happening with Zeke.
I mean, that's a possibility. We also got to remember Dalvin Cook's on the market now too. So I mean, that could definitely influence some front offices.
Yeah, and if a general manager has a choice between Dalvin Cook or Zeke, I think they're going to go look at Zeke first.
I think so because Zeke is so familiar with the team and he's like loved in Dallas. The only thing is, if they bring him back, they just got to see who they have now. You got a lot of young guys at running back, and then picked up an undrafted rookie, Hunter Lukey from North Dakota State, and he's a bigger bruiser back. So I guess they're going to see how he does during the preseason, as well as Deuce Vaughn and then Rojo. And if they stink up the joint, they got Zeke on speed out. Or Dalvin Cook. It just depends on the money. Because Jerry and Stephen Jones, they're kind of wishy-washy with their money. So we'll just got to see what happens.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, Maurice. Yeah, I was about to say, Maurice, let's go to the next topic, man.
Yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Best and worst trade moves from the NFC division this offseason. I spoke about it earlier for the Eagles. Us getting DeAndre Swift for a second round pick. For a third round pick. I think it was a third round pick. I I think that was a great move. I mean, when it comes to salary and salary cap and making trades, Howie does a really good job at that. They knew they lost Miles Sanders, so replacing him with a 24-year-old Philadelphia native, by the way, running back who did not get a lot of carries last year behind Jamal Williams. Just being another complimentary back on this Eagles offense, it's just another weapon for Jalen Hurts and company to have in their offense. I think it was the best trade move they made this offseason by far. Um, if you want to consider the draft pick trade, them trading last year's pick for Jalen Carter was also a huge move. Um, I think I think Jalen Carter is going to make an impact his rookie year. What do you guys think?
He absolutely will. That one was because I actually went to the Giants draft party at MetLife and we were watching it live and I saw you guys pick Jalen Carter and I was like, them Eagles, man. I was like, I don't know how they do it. I really don't. But that is definitely a huge, huge draft for you guys.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, they moved up a pick, but at the ninth pick, some might consider Jalen Carter the best talent on the board. To get him at 9, it's just an absolute steal.
No,
They traded
he was
first
going
round picks last.
top 2 or 3.
It was
Really?
his situation was he had a slight off the field issue, and then some of the front office second guessed it. There's the reason why Jalen Carter dropped. Eagles' ultimate opportunist picking him up, and then later picking up Nolan Smith. Might as well call y'all the Georgia Eagles.
Yeah.
Hold up, guys. Hang on, guys. We can't get too much into the draft on this podcast. We'll save it for next time.
Okay.
All right.
Earl,
Next time. Promise. Next time.
all right. Earl, what was your Cowboys' best and worst trade?
Ooh, honestly, I think the 2 trades they had at the beginning was Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. I thought those were their best moves. When I look down on their free agency and other things, those were their only 2 trades. I don't think I had a worse trade. So they were both for 5th round picks. And Brandon Cooks reconstructed his money save. And I thought that was one of a solid move on his part. And just gave to see what Stephon Gilmore does. Both of them I thought were their best trades, especially for 5th round picks.
Yeah, Earl, they were both really good. And they both addressed needs that you guys needed. And I really think they were like the only 2 needs you guys needed. Just having that second cornerback next to Trayvon Diggs, who's obviously great. And, that wide receiver 2 next to CeeDee Lamb. Can't really get much better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
it was a smart trade.
Missing a speedy receiver. Like, Lord knows I've been waiting for Dallas to get one because it was just they would always lean towards the possession receivers. And I was just like, man, we need somebody to take the top off the defense. And Brandon Cooks, he definitely fits that.
Absolutely.
Now, Earl, do you think Stephon Gilmore still has something left in the tank next to Diggs?
I believe he does. It may not be a lot to what people may think of, but for him, he's done it before. He's won a championship. And I think being able to instill that in Diggs and then the other corners will help give them that mentorship that they were looking for. I know that after the game that we played the Colts, Micah Parsons and Diggs, they were trying to get Stephon Gilmore's jersey. And now he can play with those guys. So it's kind of like a real honor for them than the other guys, especially in the secondary, to be able to learn under Stephon Gilmore. It gives them that veteran leadership.
Okay. All right. And Mal, what was the Giants' best and worst trade move of the offseason?
Yeah, so my best trade, hands down, was the 3rd round pick, 100 overall for Darren Waller. It is so good. I'm hoping that he can stay healthy this year because he's such a great player. He's been one of my favorite players in the league for a few years now. it was just about, adding speed on offense and giving us that one pass catching talent that Daniel Jones didn't have last year. And I think he's going to make a great difference. And it especially helps with the fact that the heartbreak with Kadarius Toney, because we were so excited for him and then it just didn't work out. So at least we were able to get something good out of it. So I think that was really great. That was our only trade of the offseason that I know of. But my worst trade, I would say it's not like a worst trade, but what I wish would have happened was the fact that we didn't get a wide receiver one. I think that's really going to bite us. But I won't get too much into the draft.
Mal, you don't love David Sills as your number one?
No, sorry, Lucas.
Yeah,
I can't get behind that. But I wish we were able to just get one wide receiver one that really would have just stood out to our squad. So that was my one qualm with the trades this offseason. I wish we would have made something happen with that.
So Mal, hang on. Mal, did you know that you have actually 2 West Virginia wide receivers on your depth chart right now?
Well, I have David Sills, and who else?
Bryce Ford Whedon. He signed on as
Yes.
undrafted.
Yes. But when we get into the draft, I'll talk more about Bryce Ford.
Yeah. He's a steal for you guys. He's a steal.
Yes, and we'll talk about that. But I didn't know. I forgot he was from West Virginia. But yes, I do love Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Or go ahead, buddy.
Lucas, go ahead.
What was that, Maurice?
I said, Lucas, you're up.
No. Oh, my turn. Okay. Well, we didn't have an actual trade this offseason, so I'm going to be a little creative with this one. I love the trade I love that we are trading out our old owner for this new one who's running a really good team, good teams in both Philly and New Jersey for hockey and basketball. I love that trade because I think we all can agree that Dan Snyder is one of the worst sports owner in sports histories. So yeah, I love that trade out.
You ain't lying.
I would consider that a good trade, a positive trade in your favor.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Earl, you're up next, my man.
All righty. We're going to talk about the grades for free agency and trades. I'll start off with the Cowboys. That's just having 2 trades as well as some of our free agent signings. I would give Dallas an A-. I'll give them the A overall to getting Gilmore and Cooks for a 5th rounder. I also like that we were able to re-sign Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, Cooper Rush. Oh, hold on, I got the list. We were able to address with signing Chuma Edoga, who was a former Jet, Ronald Jones from the Chiefs. Then got a long snapper, Trent Sieg. And we got them all on 1-year deals. And I think they're just there to fill the void of like players lost, but also in competition to get that roster spot. But overall, I would give Dallas a A- for their free agency as well as the 2 trades they needed.
I don't know if I give them that. That seems a bit high. I give them a solid B though. No, I'll give them B+. I'll give them B+.
Yeah, I might have to go with a B as well.
I would probably go B+ also.
Yeah, I think you being a little bit of a homer there, but that's okay because we're all fans here anyway. It's okay to be homers for a team. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just busting your chops a little bit. That's all.
Y'all probably would have. The situation with that, the reason why I give them an A- is that they address with what they needed, and I'm going off of what they needed as well as re-signing their own. And I think with them getting Gilmore and Cooks, and then re-signing Donovan Wilson at safety and Leighton Vander Esch, that keeps those core pieces together for the defense. And I love the defense.
Well, you guys lost a lineman. Was it Zach Martin?
Yeah, you guys. They did lose an off. Sorry, go ahead, Earl.
He signed with Buffalo. Yeah, he was on the O line, but he was like competing for that left guard spot with Tyler Smith, and I think Tyler Smith beat him out for it.
Okay.
And McGovern was also chasing the money as well. So.
Okay. For the Eagles, a lot of moves. We had a lot of turnover. We had a lot of guys on 1-year contracts. Who did we lose? We lost a couple linebackers. We lost a lot. But we made out okay. I would give my team an A. For all the offseason transactions. We replenished our talent as much as we possibly could. I think we're deeper at running back. The wide receiver department is pretty much the same. Our O line is still the same. We lost Salamalu, our guard, to Pittsburgh when we drafted Tyler Steen. I think he's going to be the guard to replace Salamalu. We brought back Fletcher Cox on a 1-year deal, Brandon Graham's on a 1-year deal. You know, those guys are the vets. They've been there for over 10 years plus. With the new additions, like I said, we lost some linebackers, but our corners are good. Our safeties is probably the only cause for concern right now. We'll see what it looks like during training camp, but I would give the Eagles an A- to an A. We're still a top team. I'm not going to boast here, but we're still projected to be a top team in NFC and in the league and for both conferences. So I'm really I give them an A- to an A+. A- to an A.
Whoa. Okay. And no
Not
A plus
A+.
this. Nobody gets an A+ this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's be clear on that one. But I do agree with you. I think an A- is appropriate. I don't know. I think A is kind of high, but A- I can get behind.
I can get behind an A- also for the Eagles. No matter what, it was going to be really hard for you with the free agent class that you guys had this year. It was going to be really hard to re-sign everyone. And I think you guys did a really good job of filling up whoever you lost and keeping who you could. So I agree with that. You guys are still a force in the NFC here. So yeah, I would definitely get behind that A-.
Yes.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, Mal. You're up next.
Oh, yeah. I was going to transition into the Giants, so I was going to give them overall a B+. The reason for the B+ is I think we did address quite a few needs that we had, especially with the defensive line. It was really hard every time that Dexter Lawrence needed a breath to have anybody cover him. So the signings of Ashawn Robinson and Nunez Roches are great. I think they're both great players that can really help stop the run. Like I said, Bobby Okereke was a great signing. Bobby McCain from your team, Lucas, who's going to give us a little more secondary.
Yeah, good. You have fun. Yeah, I'm gonna miss him. That was a loss.
He was a great. I was very excited when we signed him because we needed somebody like that. So he was great too. The Darren Waller trade obviously will help us greatly with our offense, and especially re-signing Daniel Jones. It feels good to actually have a quarterback that we can rely on for a little bit. But the reason I'm giving them a B+ is because of the Saquon tag and also the fact that we didn't get that wide receiver one. I think we could have addressed both of those things, and then that would have brought us to an A. But I'm going to stick with the B+ rating there.
I feel like B is a little bit more appropriate because I'm not a big Daniel Jones fan, but that's just me. But no, I think B's pretty good. I like a lot of your points. Just I'm not a big Daniel Jones fan, so that's just my bias there.
Not many people are, unless you're a Giants fan. I don't think one fan outside of the Giants fan base is like, yeah, I would love Daniel Jones as my quarterback. That's really just us. But I'll ride with him. I'll stand behind him. I have for the past few years. I'm glad he finally showed us that he can win some football games. So we'll see what that brings.
I do think Daniel Jones' contract was a little on the high side.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was.
know if I can agree with that only because of how the market's going to go. I don't think we would have gotten him for any less or he would have signed for any less. And then at some point, there were some teams interested, like the Jets and like random teams with him. So I get why they did what they did. I would agree with you that it probably was a little much. I don't think it will look like much in a few years. But the good thing about it is that it's front loaded so that if he does completely suck the next 2 years, we got an out. And that's really all I care about because we've been in cap hell for years with my old GM. So as long as this one can fix that a little bit to give us a little bit of leeway, I'm cool.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones with them re-signing him because it was either going to be him or Saquon, and I think
Right.
they wanted to secure the quarterback spot. And Daniel Jones, he may not get like the most big time numbers, but he fits in the system that Dable has for him, and he has a chance to mold him into that quarterback he thinks Daniel Jones can be in.
Right. And that's what gives me a little bit of confidence in everything is that Dable is the coach. He proved a lot this year, brought the most out of these players who were really not supposed to be that great. And that's really where I think everything completely changes the narrative is with Dable as the coach. If Dable wasn't the coach, I wouldn't be as confident, but I feel much better with him, the new GM we have, and our coordinators. So it feels good to actually have some stability in coaching.
And he's done a really good job with the quarterbacks he's worked with. Definitely improved
Yeah.
Josh, and I think he can do that with Daniel Jones.
Absolutely. I mean, Daniel Jones's interceptions were so much better this year. And it's weird because once Dable left Buffalo, Josh Allen started having a little bit of a problem with his turnovers. So it's amazing, like what coaching can do. And I've never seen anything really like that since Tom Coughlin. So it's been a long time.
Absolutely. So for the Commanders, I had to think long and hard about this. I know that we didn't go out and get the flashy name at quarterback, but we did get a really solid journeyman in Jacoby Brissett who can take over if it shows that Sam Howell, who has been looking great in training camp so far, by the way. No, OTAs, not training camp. Sorry, OTAs so far. And, but if Sam can't cut it, Jacoby is a, palatable starter. We have an elite defense. We definitely stocked up on defense yet again this offseason. I like fortifying the offensive line, which was a weak point last year. And, re-signing Payne was the biggest plus for us. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and say give us a B for this offseason. I think a B is proper. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, B is all right. I go with that.
Yeah, I would agree with B also. Honestly, I was very impressed when I watched Sam Howell that 1 week, sorry, Earl, against the Cowboys.
Don't
But
say he doesn't deserve any pity. They took us lightly. They took us lightly. They weren't ready.
Yeah, I was on a cruise ship and I was watching like in the sports bar and I was very impressed with Sam Howell. I was like, this kid, he might actually like do the thing. Like I'm very confident in the fact that like you guys might find it with Sam Howell, which is weird. I don't usually have that thought, but I'm just
I
like,
hope so.
I don't, but I hope so for you, Lucas. I hope you don't for the rest of us.
Lucas, I give Washington a B. And that last game of the season, I think Dallas, that whole game, they weren't even ready for it because they were looking towards Tampa, and I'm okay with what they did to Tampa. But
Dude, that was a domination.
Yeah.
Made Tom Brady retire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that, but with Washington, I think Sam Howell the ball is in his court. With what he can do with the receivers that Washington have, it would almost resemble what he had in North Carolina back in college.
Yeah, look, I mean his sorry, go ahead, Maurice.
No, go ahead.
I was with that, they got a lot of they got a lot of tools. They got a lot of weapons. I think with bringing in Eric Bieniemy as the OC, that's gonna open up a lot. It's gonna open up that playbook.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
with Deron Payne being re-signed, he was that big defensive tackle that people wanted, but Washington locked them up. Respect. But they got to figure out the situation with Chase Young, because he's also a vital piece on that front four on the defense for Washington. So we just
Chase has to prove that he can be healthy this year. That's the honest truth.
I agree with you, Lucas.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Contract year for him is coming up, as well as Sweat. So we just got to see what Washington does. See if they can secure that bag.
Absolutely.
Hey, Lucas, what do you think you're going to do with Chase Young?
I think they're going to re-sign him like I said, as long as he can prove that he can stay healthy and play like he did his rookie year, where he got Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think we'll be just fine.
I honestly think you're going to re-sign him.
I think so too. I think we'll re-sign both of them, and that's the nice thing about having Howell. He was a 5th-round pick. He's going to be cheap for a couple more years.
No. I think you're not going to re-sign Chase Young.
You're not? Why not?
Not. Because they would have done it already if they wanted to re-sign Chase Young. Why wait till he's a free agent?
I agree with that.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see, guys. But on that note, guys, we got through our first podcast, and I don't think I'm going to have to do any edits besides at the very beginning. So good job, everybody. Great work. And
Thanks.
On that note, we're going to wrap it up here.
Great work.
Yeah, awesome. So on that note, I want to thank all of our listeners for listening to us for the first time. If you want to follow us on Spotify. We'll be on other streaming apps soon enough. We have a Twitter page. You can follow us on Twitter too. And just remember that we'll try to do this weekly moving forward. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care.